Video 48. Verify the validity of the following inference. If one person is more successful than another, then he has worked harder to deserve success. Ram has not worked harder than Shiva. Therefore, Ram is not more successful than Shiva. Okay. Let the universe of discourse, the domain, the universe of discourse be all people. Let S of x comma y denotes x works harder than S for success. X is more successful than y, and W of x comma y, x works harder than y. X works harder than y. Okay, let us take A, B, Ram. B denotes another person, Ram and Shiva. Now we will write the premises are. Then the premises are more successful than he was worked harder to this. Ram has worked harder than Shiva. So Ram has worked harder than Shiva. Hypotheses are: first one, for every x comma y, for any two persons, if a person x works harder than y, then works harder than y, W of, if one person is more successful than another, that is, if x is more successful than y, then he has worked harder. That is W of x comma y. This value for every x comma y. For any given two persons, if one person is more successful than another, then you have the conditional statement. This is the first premise. Then Ram has worked harder than Shiva. That is, Ram has not worked harder than Shiva. Negation of what is Ram? Not worked harder. Ram has worked harder means A. Ram has worked harder than Shiva. Not worked harder means negation. Not worked harder. W we have to introduce. Worked harder than Ram worked harder than Shiva. So the conclusion is that Ram is not more successful. Negation of successful Ram. Negation of S of A comma B is what you want to prove. So this is one hypothesis. This is another hypothesis. This is the conclusion. Here if one person works harder than successful than the other, then he has worked harder to deserve success. Okay, now steps. Reasons. Step 1, for every x comma y, S of x comma y, conditional W of x comma y. This is premise. So this meaning is second one, this is S of L comma M conditional W of L comma L for all L comma M, for all L comma M. So this is from universal generalization to universal specification from 1. S of Lm is equal to W of Lm. So if you take contrapositive of this, you will get in particular what are there S of A comma B, S of A comma B conditional W of A comma B by taking L is equal to ROM and M is equal to 0. This is valid for all persons. Now you take negation of these two. Fourth one, contrapositive. Negation of W of A comma B conditional negation of S of A comma B. Contrapositive of 3. Contrapositive of 3. Contrapositive means take negation on both sides and reverse it. Now we have negation W of A comma B is there, premise. So therefore this is P conditional Q using modus ponens in 5 and 4. 5 is P, 4 is P conditional Q. Therefore the conditional Q negation of S of A comma B, that is ROM is not more successful than ROM is not more successful than the other. So this completes problem 5 and video 48.